Today I'm going to talk to you about meditation because it's been really, let me turn on the light, really one of the most helpful things I've learned over the past 5 or 6 years. And I've done a different couple styles. And this new way has been probably the most illuminating, especially in terms of like tying in some philosophical ideas I've learned in the past too. So the first way I learned how to meditate is this thing called transcendental, TM. I don't even know how to spell it, but it's like basically you get like a mantra. And the point of the meditation is you sit there, you do the mantra, like you say this 2 syllables, say the 2 syllables. I don't even know how to spell English very well. Say the two sounds in your head, like over and over again. And then what happens is you start to wander. And then slowly you realize like, oh, my mind's wandering. And it's not like a, damn it, my mind's wandering, I'm not doing it right. It's like, oh, my mind's wandering. And then you just effortlessly go back to the mantra. I did that for about a couple of years. Now I stopped doing this. I don't know why. I just found it to be less useful after time. The next thing I started to do, and I'm still doing fairly often, is simply sitting. And like just sitting for a half an hour often and just like processing. You can imagine like we consume a lot of info. And so when you just sit there, you give your brain like a chance to actually process. So that's been really helpful to sit there and you just see it firing off. And it's like, it's an aspect of witnessing. Like you spend a lot of days like getting triggered, which is going to lead us into the next time, the new way. But you spend a lot of times like getting triggered, being, reactive, emotional, all these things. And it's very painful. And oftentimes we don't even realize that we're in that. But when you can sit and somehow your brain's going off and off and off, and suddenly you just witness like, oh, that's how I was feeling yesterday when I was rushing, trying to get home, or when I felt uncomfortable in front of that person. So sitting I've found to be really helpful. And TM I found to be helpful too for a time. Now the next way is this really cool way that I recently learned from this guy, Scott. And this is kind of like, how to describe this? It's like a noticing plus repatterning. And so I believe it's influenced by this Chinese idea of Ren Xue. Ren Xue will be the pronunciation, I guess. People studies, I think. That's what the literal translation is. I don't know what it's actually called. But so it's like you notice the triggers. So, for example, then you write it down on your phone. Like one example was, avoided saying hi to a pretty girl in the elevator, right? Like I saw this person in the elevator that I thought looked nice and I wanted to say hello. But for whatever reason, I avoided doing it. And so that was like a, disturb my peace type of thing, right? It was like that was less than optimal. So then I noticed it, I wrote it down, and then you acknowledge it. I gotta really get better at spelling acknowledge it if I'm gonna make these. So you basically just sit there and you're like, okay, I avoided saying hi to that person in the elevator. Why did I do that? And then what happens is typically, or how I've experienced this, you'll feel it somewhere in your body. I'll often feel it like in my right neck for whatever reason. And then you accept it. So it's like, hey, can I accept that this pattern seems to be there? This limitation, this illusion, whatever it is. And yeah, I can accept that. And then you kind of like access it and you kind of like ask it like, why is it there? And typically it's like an emergent information coming from deep in your belly. And I'll see like a visual sometimes, or I realized quite a lot of things through this. Like I realized one time I had this like big scarcity belief about money, and then I asked like, why was it there? And then I saw this image of the sun and it just became laughable. I was like, oh, the sun has unlimited energy. Like obviously I can find a way to make a little bit of money. And so that's the last piece of repatterning, because we have all these patterns running in the background, right? Maybe like, a good example would be like, maybe you were in public with parents and they went, shush. And we're like, don't be so loud in public. And then you realize you associated not being loud in public with good because it made your parents happy. And then maybe you identified as quiet. That's not even something I feel, but that's just an example of like a pattern which could be limiting. And so this whole idea is like every trigger, no matter how small, it's like, it's not reality, that's upsetting us. It's our reaction to reality, right? There's a really good Stoic quote, Stoicism quote from Seneca, which is like, Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And so it's these reactions which are going to teach us more about us than about reality. So it's super fun. So you notice the triggers, you notice the like unpleasant reaction. Then in like a calm place afterwards, you can sit there and you can acknowledge it. Then you learn to accept it and access it and like ask it, what is it there for? Like typically it manifests someplace in the body. And then you have the opportunity to repattern it. So this is something I'm just learning. I've only been practicing it for like 3 months. And particularly with this guy, Scott, who's a beast. I could maybe link his intro profile, but it's been incredibly helpful. So these are 2 things I'm trying right now. And meditation has just been really helpful in terms of, I don't know if detaching is the right word, but like, I know before I meditated, it was a lot harder to understand myself. And once I started to understand myself, like the interaction with the world became a lot clearer. And it's still an ongoing process. There's still a lot to learn, a lot to uncover, but it's probably been one of the most rewarding sort of journeys, that inward journey of understanding what's going on inside. So I hope this helps. Hope this gives you a little bit of information. I'll leave you with one last thing. And this is something I actually heard from Hamza. Maybe you've seen his YouTube stuff. It's a little masculine, but he basically, this idea of like, just think of it as reps. Like the mind wandering, it's like, if you're going to do like just like a simple like Zen, like focus on your breath type of thing, it's like breath, then it's wander, then it's breath again. And so all of this is like a muscle rep. You just get your arm, you're curling, you're getting your muscle growing. So it's like, this is a part of it. This is a part of meditation, your mind wandering. Returning is a part of meditation. Accidentally leaving again is part of meditation. So if you think of it as reps, there's no stress. If you think, oh my God, if I'm not breathing, if I'm not focusing on my breath, I'm not meditating, right? So it's all reps. And the witnessing of the wandering is a part of it. So that's probably some of the most helpful stuff I've heard of meditation before. I've been doing it for a few years, and it's probably been really helpful, really helpful, especially in sales too. Learning how to be there and listen and not wander. So hope it helps. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.